decided that I wanted to go 2-point on my my connectors. I'll show that in a second, but I'm going to depin this one. So I depinned this. It took me a while in order to be able to figure out. We know this is neutral. This is actually for the fuel that we're not going to actually be using. This runs up to the fuel line. I mean, we could try to use it, put a resistor on it, something like that, but... Hey there, riders. So this is pretty much what I mean about my connectors. As you're going to see, you got the light blue wire that came from the device, which is for the fuel. Then you got the black and yellow, which is for your tach. And according to this, you need to connect to the positive of the ignition. Ignition triggers the signal. So I went ahead and did that, and that didn't allow for the tach to be able to hook up properly. It won't even recognize the tach. It'll turn on and such, but it's not recognizing the pulses. And unfortunately, I'm not getting any help from their service desk at all. So I might just have to forego the tach, and it's pretty much, I just wanted the digital readout speedometer anyways, so that's where we'll go with that. So when I discuss about these lines here, this is what I'm talking about. And they give you to tell you what the terminals are, the parts for the terminals, and they also give you the plastic parts in which will be used for this. So you just gotta get I think the female or the male, I can't really recall, but that's what I got for this. And if you notice, when I'm talking about the two part here, or the 2-prong connector, I had moved the white green 6th gear over to here where the neutral is at. And the neutral is now located over in this part. And then I probably will be putting the fuel gauge back into this location over here and run it off of my reservoir, because I did happen to find that there was a rubbing point which was causing the whole little casing in which it's encased in to be missing. So I was able to split and connect just for test purposes to see if it would actually work, and it does actually work, so I could connect it to there if I want. That involves me running a line over to it and connecting it over to there exactly. In fact, I'll probably have to buy some orange wire for that. Then, of course, you got your speed sensors right here, which they say are the ones that are supposed to be. They outline the white-red as the speed sensor positive, the black as the signal, and the green as the speed sensor. To be quite honest, I was able to locate the speed sensor on my motorcycle, and I'm thinking of actually tapping into that and seeing if that might actually be able to work, because without the proper instructions and without having proper information, can't really tell, but I'll probably save that for a later project. But right now, I located 2 magnets, and they're sticking outside the disc brake, in which I was able to test, and it does actually work. The speedometer does work. So I'll probably have to do some reconfiguring in here. But I will include and link to these documents if you want, if you do purchase it. And if they do not include instructions, I will include that with a link to my GitHub account for free access, or just do it from my Google and just share it through there. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I'll use Google. Why not? Go with the corporate Mongol Google, since it does own YouTube. So, but when I discuss about these wires here inside the video, this is pretty much what I'm referring to. This black wire goes to the switch, which is actually run off of the ignition. this goes straight over to there, so that I was able to locate the counterparts on here. In fact, let's see, I don't have my preview on. Oh, yeah. Actually, we're going to go into this. And then we're going to rotate. Rotate clockwise. Now, I pulled this out of the Harley Davidson book, which is able to give me what I need. It has two different models, two different connections for here. I got the XL 1200R, which has a tachometer. Well, unfortunately, my bike does not. There we go. And this is pretty much what I use here, is using the data. The data signal, which runs to the computer, doesn't do any good, so I didn't bother connecting that. The signal LP, there was no connection on that bike. The accessory, the orange-white, pretty much isn't really necessary. Unfortunately, on this motorcycle, or on this speedometer, it did not have the oil gauge on there, telling you the oil pressure. But the main reason why I bought it was that on my list was for this neutral here, and for the other ones, and for the speed. So, because this, see, the neutral and this were bad. There's a crack inside the board, or disconnect, or maybe a bad diode. I'm not exactly too sure, but that's what was inside there. So that's what I went ahead, and that's why I wanted a new speedometer in the first place, instead of paying like $211, is which I was told for a new harness, which includes this from Harley Davidson. And since the speedometer has its own trip, this doesn't really do any good. It doesn't really need to go to the ground or anything like that to do the trip reset or whatever you want to do. So, as I said, I'll leave these inside the Google, so that way they're accessible. So that way if you want to reference them in the future, if you have a 2009, you can. I'll also leave the link of where I got this from as well inside the description of this video. And back to the regularly scheduled program. It's not really going to fare us out quite well. I had transferred the one for the fuel over to the, I believe it was the 6-point. So it was blue and white. White and blue. Yep, here we go. White with the blue plain stripe. So I transferred it over to the 9-pin, but since we're not going to be using it on there, there's no point. And like I said before, we got the 6-point here, which runs all the gears. I'm not using that, so I moved the 6th gear that was all by itself inside the 2-port, and moved the neutral over to here, as well as the tack. So that way I would actually have 2 versus 1, and it wouldn't feel silly. And this way, this makes this completely useless since I'm not using it at all. It won't even register any of the gears. This bike wasn't built for that. So I got the prongs set up, a receivership, blue. This is the tack. Tack is not set up on here, but I will end up running a line through here and end up tape it down securely. So I know which one is the tack, and I know which one's the neutral on here. So I'm going to go ahead and get my connector set up for that.